And hey, it's everyone. It's Evan Kirstel here on Tuesday, and we are live from NRF, the big retail event of the year. I'm here with Jeff Woodland of 5 9, who's live on site. Jeff, you're like an on the site reporter or something with CNBC.
Yeah,
This is
I
awesome.
am. Yeah, you have all the stuff going on in the background. We're here at the Javits Center in New York City,
Well, I'm
and
glad you're there. I'm a little more cautious about getting into the real world. So you're there to share all the insights and updates and goings on at NRF. I'm a big fan
yes.
of the event. It's been a couple of years since I've
hmm
been, and as I mentioned, it is the retail event of the year. So give us a perspective. How is NRF? Who's there, and what's going on?
Yeah. So COVID has impacted this year's NRF, just like it has impacted retail everywhere. Um, the show, it's I don't think it's as there's definitely not as many attendees as they'd like, but I came here to understand some key trends that are going on in retail, and I went to some great sessions. Actually, two of them were done by McKinsey, who did great research on where we are headed and what consumer behavior is going to be like. It's hard to express how massive a turning point we are actually right now, and yeah, COVID's impact on NRF itself is just like almost an expression of COVID's impact on all of retailing. It's really it's an exciting time. I do want to emphasize that when I came here, I was vaccinated. We're all wearing masks. The protocol is
Right.
very tight, and yeah, so retail must go on. The big show must go on, and that's what they're
And
doing.
retail has gone on. I mean, there's been, through the pandemic, kind of an e-commerce boom.
Oh yeah, it's
So
yeah.
it's retail is surging despite a bit of a slowdown last month. So
Mhm.
what's driving all of this activity? What's in the mind of the consumer these days, based on what you've heard so far?
It's the one of the hardest thing to do is to change behavior, whether you're selling to a customer or just yourself. Um, and you've seen 10 years of change get pushed into 1 2 years with this pandemic rolling on, and you're creating what it has created is it has changed behaviors. You're having the rise of what I'm calling the post-pandemic shopper. And shoppers everywhere, they always shop by value and convenience. Value is easy to define. Convenience is very relative. And because of COVID, shoppers wanted to stay home, and retailers responded. And consequently, I think that behavior has cemented. So like shoppers, people like to shop from home. They've learned how to do it. They've embraced e-commerce. And like an example of a post-pandemic shopper is like my mom. She just turned 80 and she knows how to shop online and do a return. And like I'm her IT guy, and I'm just like, wow, you did that by yourself. You know how to do this. Okay, that's a marker in itself. So the
So,
post-pandemic shopper is huge, and then like from looking at like especially these really good sessions that like supply chains can be a problem going into the new year. That's going to require more conversations. Also, there is this remarkable drop in our total labor force, especially within retail. And that is fueling the move to automation and the use of AI. So, like those two trends alone, like, you actually have three. Consumers wanting to be at home, so you have the post-pandemic shopper preferences, which is essentially is e-commerce led, but drives a ton of online conversations. And then you have the supply chain issues, which will be with us for everyone's saying about 6 months to a year. Sounds about right. It's so driven by what's going on with COVID, and then you have the worker issue in terms of like some people call it the great dropout, but yeah, like in a lot of ways, like you're seeing economic activity that is actually surpasses where we were before the COVID hit, but that's through the change in e-commerce. However, labor shortages are still a serious issue, and how you operationalize that and make it efficient, like that's also a big factor of what you're going to see in the coming year.
fascinating. So 5 9 is a giant player in the contact center and customer
Yes.
experience space. But how much is the contact center, customer service, customer support, a topic at NRF? Is it sort of one of those things that's considered the back office and gets sort of left to the
It's
side, or is it under discussion at NRF?
It's I call it nascent. So a lot of the things that if you care about your contact center and you care about conversations, customer experience, um, you care about getting greater efficiencies through AI and automation, all those conversations are happening here, but you've not seen the use of the word contact center. And I've seen some other, like AT&T Business is here, and they talk a lot about conversations in general, but you're not seeing that emphasis on terms that within our industry we use here. And I don't know if that's a education issue or if people who are in the you're with talking contact center, whether or not we just need to start changing our language and making it much more retail friendly, which is the direction I think we should go as an
Yeah, I mean, the
industry.
contact center is about customers, so there isn't a more relevant topic. It seems like a
Hmm.
lot of the attention goes to the sexy tech in the store, maybe, or
Oh
things
yeah,
like augmented reality and sensors and IoT. I imagine there's a lot of that happening as well on the
yeah.
show floor.
I wasn't looking. I walked across this open floor and I realized that there's a bunch of robots like moving around me, like taking things from shelves and moving into another shelf, and I'm like, huh. And then I'm like, but they actually have sensors, so I didn't get run over. So I'm like, oh my God, that's pretty cool. But I think like the tech that I mean that is all really good for the in store, but like one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and this was another pundit for McKinsey, is that previously it was all about the in-store experience. Like you go in, you connect with someone while you're buying cheese at a grocery store. I don't know, cheese, and then maybe you go online to find that that cheaper cheese. I don't know why we're talking about cheese, but we're go online for finding
My
cheese.
favorite topic. Don't worry.
My
Let's
cheese.
focus on you.
Yeah. And so what you're seeing is that you're like, because of the pandemic and how it affected shopper behaviors, that people did want to be at home. And if they went out, they wanted it to be a frictionless, fast experience. So, like there's this topic, BOPIS, buy online, purchase in the store. And that is an example of where the post-pandemic shoppers, like, this is what I want. I want to go online, do, where you have awareness and consideration, do that like digitally, and then go to the store, make that purchase or purchase online, but just make sure that the in-store experience is frictionless and fast. That, like, I can't emphasize how big that is from where we were before the pandemic, and that we had these 10 years of change pressed into one, which is accelerating changes in the favor of the home shopper. At the same time, it's stressful for everyone.
It is
all making
stressful.
making all these changes. So yeah.
And the consumer's been completely reoriented in their expectations.
Oh yeah.
Certainly, call centers are no longer, the call customer service is no longer
Well,
the de
yeah.
facto
Like
interface to the enterprise, right? So what is omnichannel and messaging and voice and text and online support mean now in this new kind of normal
well,
we find ourselves in?
I think omnichannel is now table stakes. It's making that omnichannel experience exceptional. That's what the
Mhm.
shoppers crave. Because, coming back to behavior and just personality, shoppers still crave that connection to their brand. And now, like previously, years, decades working that out on an in-store experience. And now we're trying to do it online, and we're learning the best way to get that done and how to do it right. That's the focus, and that's the thrust. It's this, it's how e-commerce goes in first, and it's going to be pulling in the contact center behind it. And that change, I think, is fascinating to watch. And I think it's pro consumer. A lot of people, I've heard people complain that, oh well, my in-store experiences are no longer the same. That's going to change and evolve as well, because like right now, like everyone in what, like all the sessions, all the customers are talking about e-commerce first. But at some point, you have to, like, when you demand these omni-channel experiences, the customers want essentially a seamless transition between online and in store. That no matter the channel that they're on, the vendor, the retailer, the brand knows who they are and knows why they're coming there. They don't do that horrible thing of like, and who are you? And let me verify, let me authenticate, and why did you call? Like, that has to stop. And fortunately, we have all the tech to actually make it start stopping. And one of the things we have to do is bring all the data together quickly along the customer journey, and then that will get us towards those seamless omni-channel experiences.
Seamless is the word. I mean, there's still such a gap between the gold standards of service support and customer experience, like Amazon and Apple and
Mhm.
everyone else, right? I mean, if I, gosh, the other day I ordered something from Apple. It was literally delivered in 2 hours from my local Apple
Yeah.
store to my front door and tracked the entire way. It was completely seamless. How long before other retailers can catch up with the
Well,
e-commerce giants and some of that experience? And what do they have to do?
Well, it's essentially, yeah, like it's a slightly different game. I don't think the smaller brands and retailers, mid-size, will be able to compete with that. They're going to have to partner with companies akin to like a DoorDash or a GoPuff, which delivers, like, they can't build that out like Apple. I just don't, unless they use Apple as a partner. But
Mhm.
that idea of essentially buying local warehouses, so that, I mean, it's fascinating when you think about the data and the predictive capabilities that they're predicting someone like you is going to buy something like that, and so they're going to store it locally. Like, that's fascinating. I love it. I think it's a really good application of using our technology to service the needs of our customers, so that you get something like that delivered at home. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Is it-
it's pretty compelling,
although
particularly
did you have to,
with COVID.
did it go right? Did you have to talk to anyone? Because that's when things are
No,
like,
no. I
okay.
mean, I could have. It always gave me an option to call. It actually used iMessage as the
Uh-huh.
messaging tool, so it had like all the built-in, rich text and updates into iMessage, not just a text. So really kind of fancy tech integration. What is Five9 seeing in terms of its retail customer base and its workforce? The call center agents are sort of the unsung heroes of this story. I mean,
Yeah.
they must be working from home. They must see a lot of disruption. We have the great resignation, lots of stress on
Yeah.
those workers. What do you see?
As an industry, yeah, we're getting it's we're seeing a lot of growth in the retail sector for sure. And in terms of the agents who are working from home, it's like it's a largely positive. What I've read is that it's largely positive because you allow people to work from home where their kids may be because of the school closures, like, like waves of closures, or not, who knows. And so you have that ability to work from home and at least be there for your kids, or set up like kind of more flexible scheduling, so that, like, let's say, that, for example, your kids come home at 3 o'clock every day, so you can work from 9 to 3, and you put that out there. And that's one of the things I'm seeing, which I think is really interesting, is how workers, especially the generations that's coming online, is much more insistent on, like, this is what I want to work. Let me, like, the worker is telling the employer, I want to work
Right.
from 9 to 3, make it work. I love that. I think it's the direction that is so much more workforce friendly, especially if you have someone like me, like, family needs that you have to take care of.
Yeah, it's interesting. The contact center worker is evolving. It's no longer that person in maybe India who's taking tech support calls. They're really knowledge workers, and I guess
Yeah.
how do you empower them to take ownership of the customer, understand the customer, be problem solvers?
Mhm.
And I've seen a lot more of that when I call into contact centers these
Yeah.
days.
And like, one of the things that I think, like, it rubs me the wrong way when people give AI, like, oh, it's going to steal our jobs. Like, I'm like, no, no, no. If AI can do your job, I'm almost positive you don't want to do that job. And the thing with, like, intelligent virtual agents is it has this ability to essentially take a lot of mind-numbing conversations, steer them away from an agent, and save that agent to really use their brain to solve more serious
Mm.
issues. And so I think the quality of the work is actually going to improve, that customer service representatives will be doing, because things, like, obviously, like we said, my password, but, other things that, like, hooking your intelligent virtual agent up to, let's say, an FAQ system, or, being able to give directions. Like, there's so many things that intelligent virtual agents could be doing that will also, like, be good for the customer, but also be good for the agent, in the long term. It's going to be a bumpy road getting there. I don't doubt that, but we've been talking AI for 10, 15 years, and it's finally happening. It's just bizarre that I think it was COVID that really accelerated the push into automation. For example, an intelligent virtual agent being an example of automation.
And yet we still see so many horrible examples IVR implementations and legacy
Yes.
technology. How do we fix that? Is the cloud, I guess, going to help drive refresh and upgrade and adoption
Yeah.
of advanced technologies? Get away from these black boxes that sit
Yeah.
in the closet.
Like I left my wallet in my hotel room. So right before this call, I'm calling the hotel room. I get sent to an IVR that's global, literally not just global US, but the entire world. I'm like, yeah, what?
Right,
Press one for the United States? What? No, this is not
right.
what's supposed to be happening. So obviously we have tons of opportunity to improve the IVR experience, and I'd say just junk the IVR entirely and upgrade to an intelligent virtual agent, because you can at least have a conversation and not be forced into these little trees or have to say very specific phrases. And then just being able to say like I would have liked to say, I want to speak to my hotel in New York City about a wallet. Like that should get me to the front desk right away,
Yeah,
and
and
so
that's
and
that's very practical. It's not
yeah,
That's not
and
Star Trek. This is technology that's here today in terms of conversational AI. It's amazing how
and and
it's
and
behind some companies are.
and moving to the cloud, you do get so much more, I guess, scales of improvement in terms of the maintenance and the installation, because it's cloud based. It's a cloud based service. Yeah, it's one of the benefits of moving to CCaaS is that you can take care. You could still do IVR if that's what you want, but you can also upgrade to an intelligent virtual agent, which is a much better fit for customer needs.
Well, speaking of customers, you got another couple of days there at NRF. What are you looking forward to? What demos? What booths? What else is on the
They
agenda?
I was told to go to the innovation lab, and then I said, why? And the person wouldn't tell me. So that's a mystery. So I got to go check that out. Um, I, it's interesting. Like this is where I do feel like CCAS is nascent here. Is the sessions that I really want to go to? They're not as many of them as I would like. So I do want to go to one with AT&T Business that's later today. I know it's virtual, so I have to figure that part out. But the three McKinsey sessions I saw yesterday, like they were first rate, and I'm really glad I got to see those. Today it's a little bit lighter fare, actually.
Great. Well, definitely go out there and tweet at us some pictures and
Yeah,
some of the booths, and we'll catch up after the show and see what else you've learned. So, thanks, Jeff.
sure
Thanks so
thing,
much for
Evan.
taking time out of the show and sharing some insights. And check out Five Nines on Twitter at Five Nines, and you can see more around some amazing things they are doing in the contact center. So, have fun, stay safe. Kind of wish I were there now. It looks cool, kind of cool.
It's
But next year's always next year.
it has been it is fun. I think next year I hope we have COVID behind us and under control, and everyone can come back to normal.
Looking forward to it. It was, gosh, I remember my first show. I was like, this is mind blowing. I've never seen an event like
Uh-huh.
this. It really is the Olympics of world global retail. So, thanks so much, Jeff. Take care
Thank you
and
very much.
chat soon.